mold this, you can feel it now, and it's nice and tough. The other way that we can tell it's cured is in the mixing bowl. You know, we can pull this out, and that comes out nice and clean. It's not tacky, nice and cured. So we know that this RTD is cured. I'm just going to go ahead and remove the tape. So I did a pretty good job. It's not a lot of material coming out here on the sides. We're just going to start prying it from the edges around here. Okay. So here's what came out. It's a nice clean mold, and you just pop out the dam, and this will be ready to go. Here we go. Alright, there we go. Little tiny bit of flash on the edge, just peel that off, we're ready to go. I'm going to give this just a little bit more to cure. Still kind of a little tacky on the inside, but another 15 minutes or so and this will be ready to start pouring parts out of. Alright, we'll be back for that part later. Okay, hi again. What we're going to be showing you today is how to cast these molds. As you notice, one of the things we're going to be doing is pouring the resin. This resin, you know, in the MSDS recommends we have a well ventilated space. So I'm in the garage. I got my garage door open, so I get plenty of airflow in here. It doesn't smell a whole lot, so you should watch out for that. But we got that open. So what I've done before the video is I've gone and leveled this table. So you can't see it, but I've actually put a bunch of shins under the feet of this table to get it perfectly level. And I actually went and picked up a better bubble level so I could get this perfect. So the most important thing is obviously getting the level across the top surface. So you know, when I was leveling the table, I was using the mold, or the level across the mold like this. And this, so that I could get a good reading, and right now it's perfectly level. You know, and if I look at the table's just at a slightly different level, and that's because of the level issue. I used a cheaper level last time when I was casting the mold. Not a big deal, as long as we get the level across the top of the surface fine, we're going to be good here. So I got this nice and level. The other thing we're going to need, I got the grand scale, I've got the mixing cup. I'm going to use some popsicle sticks for mixing, just cheaper than the mixing sticks you buy at the store. I've got the resin here. We're using SmoothCast 65D, which is it's a 2-part polyurethane resin. I've also got some UV additives here. This is UVO white, so we're going to add about 1% by weight of this stuff, and then we're also going to add about 1% by weight of this SunDevil. What these are going to do is prevent these masks from degrading under heavy UV exposure. And the reason for that is that they're probably going to be sterilizing these things using UV sterilization, so we want to make sure that they can hold up to lots of UV exposure. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll get the gloves on here. And the first thing we're going to want to do is determine, you know, how much resin we're going to be using to cast this mold. I went through and I've just kind of empirically determined it. I've already done one casting of this, so I got one casting out. I used too much resin, but that allowed me to get something that I could weigh afterwards. And so I'm going to be targeting the weight of that, which is about 30 grams. It's a little less than 30 grams. We're going to mix up 30 because some of it's going to get left in the cup, so we want to always mix up just a little bit more. So I'm going to be mixing up 30 grams of resin here. And we'll go ahead and get started. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is measure out these pigments. So, if we're using 30 grams of resin, I'm going to do 0.3 grams of each of these two before we start. Okay, so here's the UVO white. Okay, just a little tiny bit. So if you saw that, there was just a couple drops there. That's 300 milligrams. Same thing I'm going to do with this one here. I'm going to puncture the surface. Okay, there we go. Added a little extra SunDevil, so it's maybe I put about 0.4 grams in there. So that's going to be that. And then we're going to go ahead and start mixing up our stuff there. So I didn't calculate how much of each resin I'm going to need, but I will do that right now. I've got, I'm going to do 30 grams of resin, and then times, it's a 93 to 100 ratio, so I'm going to multiply that by 93 over 100, so, actually 93 over 193. So it's going to be 14.45 grams of the part B, which is this one right here. And then the rest of it we're going to fill up to 30 grams. So I'll go ahead and start with this one right here. So 14.45 grams. Okay. And the rest of it we're going to fill up with the part A. So we get up to 30.6 in this case. Okay, there we go. So we got those on. And then go ahead and start mixing here. Same thing with the silicone. We want to make sure we scrape the walls here and get a good mix. This stuff has an even shorter working time, so we want to make sure that we're working quick and fast here. And if I got the mixture ratio correct, this stuff will basically pour into this mold and we won't have to scrape any off the top. In case we do, I do have some plastic scrapers. Go ahead and got a good mix on this. I'm going to pour it in. I'm just going to start right here at the low spot. So I'm going to start kind of on the edge of the brim, right where the low spot is. It's going to fill into that low spot and then start, spreading out from there. And that's important because that'll help prevent us getting bubbles in here. You just want a nice, slow, even pour. Get it started there. It's going to drain. And moving out to the sides here to kind of force it to level out. Might be a little light on the resin here, or let's hope it fills in before it starts curing. Alright, so I'm actually going to use my spreader here to kind of help it flow into the corners here. With this, the addition of the SunDevil does seem to be thickening this up. When I cast this before, I didn't use any of the UV additives, and it flowed a lot better. Kind of getting it to convince it to flow over into the corners there. Okay, so I'm going to let this go ahead and cure. Pretty much past the working time anyway at this point. Just kind of scraping any last bit of resin. The next time I mix this up, I'm going to go for a little bit more resin actually, just so we have a little bit more pressure to get it to flow into all the nooks and crannies. So just let it cure. It's going to take about 30 minutes and we'll be able to pull this out of the mold here. Alright, we'll be back then. Hi, so we're back. It's been about 30 minutes or so. I just went and ate lunch and come back. I got the garage closed now. It's pretty much all the smell's gone. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to demold this. So I did get a little spillover, so it just kind of stuck to the table, but it'll peel right off. Just got to kind of convince it there. So one thing you'll notice after you cast it is you kind of want to do a little flex on it, especially on the back end here. It's okay to be a little bit flexy because when we pull this out, it might still be a little bit flexible, and that's totally fine to do, to cure it out on the table. So all you got to do is just start kind of peeling away the edges. As you can see that, it's just going to peel away nice and easy. You're going to kind of just separate all these edges off first. It'll be a little difficult sometimes when you get the flashing on the edges. That's the basic procedure there. Just working my way around to kind of get a nice separation there. It'll pull the part away from the mold. Okay, and now so I've gotten all the edges free. Just gonna start going under here and peeling up this the face mask from the front side. And then I'll stick my thumb under here, kind of get this last wall that we couldn't get separated off. And then you just go ahead and keep on pulling. And it should pop right out. So here we go. There's a minimal amount of little flashing around the side. If I'd done a better job of scraping it, we wouldn't even have that. You just peel off the flashing on the sides. And this is actually fairly fairly solid. You notice it still has a bit of flex to it, but it's pretty solid. I've pulled these parts out much softer than this, and it's completely fine. You just got to kind of reshape it, especially if like the visor bends over or something like that. Just reshape it, sit it on a nice flat surface, and give it another half hour to cure or so. But that can happen outside the mold. So there you go. It's a nice clean part, and we're ready to start making another one. And I'll start making more molds so that we can start producing a lot of these. All right, thanks for watching.